Hi again, everyone. Welcome to the fourth and last live stream of the Gender Unbound Virtual Showcase in 2020. My name is Jay. I use they and them pronouns, and I am the visual arts curator with Gender Unbound. Gender Unbound is a nonprofit, multidisciplinary arts organization that highlights visual art, music, and performance by transgender and intersex creators who just week after week show us how much endless brilliance we have in our community. Gender Unbound is supported in part by the Cultural Arts Division of the City of Austin Economic Development Department. And tonight's live stream is a part of a series of 4 live streams that we've run throughout September as a part of our showcase this year on the theme of home. During this whole pandemic and everything that's happened in 2020, we are spending a lot of times in our physical homes and thinking about just what that space can mean for us as trans and intersex folks. And for a number of reasons, the concept of home can mean a lot of different things for trans and intersex people. So this year in this showcase, we wanted to explore this concept of home and how it relates to all of our communities through both an interactive gallery that is running now on our website throughout September. It closes on Wednesday, so seriously, if you haven't gotten a chance to look at it yet, please do right after this live stream. We have so much beautiful art, which we'll get a little glimpse of here today during our artist interview. But really, we commissioned all of this brilliant artwork from visual artists across America. And it's been so awesome seeing it all kind of together in this virtual space and reading from all the artist statements and everything how all these pieces really speak to each other. It's a beautiful conversation going on in there, so I highly recommend y'all check it out. It's on our website at genderunbound.org. And the other part of our virtual showcase this year is doing these live streams every Saturday. So we're ending this last episode on the theme of creating home. We've been on quite a journey, and this week we really want to explore what creating home means to some really wonderful members of our community. So y'all are in for a treat. Today we'll hear poetry from KB, a wonderful Austin local, an interview with one of our visual artists, Khalil. And to close out the evening, it's not Gender Unbound without music from sci-fi. So I'm throwing it to Biss now to introduce our first act.
Hi, y'all. This is Biss from Gender Unbound. I use all pronouns. It's nice to see y'all out there. Thank you for joining us for our final stream. And I'm here to introduce our poet for today, KB. KB is a Black, queer, genderless poet, educator, organizer, and student affairs professional based in Austin, Texas. They have earned many fellowships and publications, most notably from Lambda Literary, The Watering Hole, Cincinnati Review, and Palette Poetry. When they're not on stage or in the page, they serve as program coordinator for the Gender and Sexuality Center at the University of Texas at Austin, and teaching artist for the Austin Library Foundation, and founder/leader, organizer of Interfaces, and committee member for Austin Black Pride's the Clarity Project. So here they are, KB.
Yo, what's up? Unfortunately, it's me again. No, JK. I've been to the Gender Unbound stage before, and it's always such a treat. So thank y'all so much for having me here. Again, I'm KB, pronouns they and them. And if you would to demonstrate this to someone later, you would say, OMG, KB, they killed it. I'm following them right now. Just in case you don't know how to use that in a sentence, right? And today I'm gonna read you some poems about home. Like Jalen was saying, home is such a complicated concept, especially within trans and intersex community. So I'm hoping that y'all are along for the ride and y'all are willing to think with me a little bit today. And I wouldn't be talking about home if it wasn't from my hometown. So I'm gonna read a poem about that. If you know what Dallas is, it's this very interesting city right next to it called Fort Worth, and that's where I'm from. So yeah, I hopefully can introduce you and give you a great introduction to the city, specifically the part that I'm from in the city, through this poem. It's called Greetings from Fort Worth, Texas. I want to love this city. The street I grew up on, where 3 men brown as church pews roll in dirt as cops suffocate their wistful wrists. Dogs sniffing through the newly built house that's since been boarded up. The corner store where Raimi and Stall cut meat. Where I first smoked weed with a young boy in orange shoes who now rocks an orange jumpsuit. The brown sauce smothered pork chops at stormy Mondays that fill your tummy till you feel a kind of heaven. I want the city to be loved for downtown and Eastwood equally. When I went to university up the street, they told me not to drive past the train tracks because it's sketchy over there. Like being thrust into whiteness isn't sketchy enough. Like wax dripping candles at Dunbar High vigils aren't just as pretty as the Christmas parade of lights on 7th Street. I hate to love this city. Where the stop sign on Berry has 6 painted under stop, so you know what hood it is. Where I first felt love, like true, true love, breathing on the side of my neck on the latest of school nights from a boy who these days pushes daisies. Damn, I love this city. If you lay on the wood and rusted nail where South Side and the burbs meet long enough, you hear church ladies humming. Thank you, thank you. I'm like performing to a box, LOL. So I don't know how well this is being received, but I can only hope that it'll be claps. But let's keep going, y'all. So a thing about home, right? I think what also is the work of creating home is like imagining a home that you don't quite live in yet, that you would like to live in. And due to all of the things in the news right now, you know what I mean? It would be remiss of me not to like acknowledge all the Black death that we've been enduring. Trigger warning there. And all of the kinds of like very specific things, specific plights of the Black trans community. So I'm gonna read a poem. It's just gonna be me imagining. I wrote it in 2019, so it's me imagining what 2029 could look like if I didn't, have the set of circumstances that I do as a Black person in America right now. So it's called Black Life Circa 2029. Clean fridge. Spacious carpeted living room. Newly swept floors. A wooden desk table. Designated lunchtime every day at noon. SZA playing on vinyl. Window blinds opened and intact. Money crisp and resting in the bank. Sour gummy worms with wine on the counter. I visit my mother regularly and I tell her I love her. I don't flinch when my father raises his arm. My father raises his arm to hug me. The hood walks me and sometimes I walk it back. The hood is a small utopia of green grass. All the Cadillacs are Barbie painted. I walk the east side and don't get hit on. Black men gleam gold teeth and there are no police. I go up the street to eat and there are no police. The Black boy shoots a toy gun, still no police. There are no police at the school or hiding behind exit signs on the freeway. I don't clutch my steering wheel when black and white cars appear close. I don't get handcuffed or questioned. My lover doesn't have to hold me. Handcuffs exist only for kink shit. I don't have to call in Black the next day. I don't replay the night in my head. The ticket doesn't get paid off. There isn't a target on my back that I can't remove. There isn't a target on my face when I cry at night or in the morning or in the restroom during my designated lunch closer to 12:30. I love my land comfortable. I love this life loud. I have a living. I have a room. Thank you. There in my head, I'm like, woo, KB, KB. So I could only hope, right? Moving on to another poem, right? I live specifically in Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas is my home. It's the only home I think that I've known. And yeah, creating home is also kind of critiquing that home as well. So I'm probably gonna do that in this poem. It's called Every Building in East Austin is a Ghost. Hope you like it. There isn't much that I know about this place except that every building is a ghost. When traveling, I find home in bathrooms, quiet buildings, people, yet here home sits in the sick of willful ignorance. You see that bodega? It used to be a family tire shop. You visit that coffee spot? It was made with the rubbish of a 70-year-old home. There's a scarcity of love built into all this asphalt. Preservation depends on what is considered good. The city homies know still spills through cracked corners of my local Whole Foods. I'm expected to unsee unresurrection. The paper's business section is an obituary. We'll be building on top of your memory now. I don't know much about place except that history is epistolary and fresh paint is sometimes mixed with blood. Heaven be a Rosewood Park Juneteenth. Hell be a rent increase by property tax. Thank you. Okay. I just want to maybe like give y'all like two more there. My new poems have been so weird because quarantine has been so weird, right? I just feel like I've just been thinking about a lot of stuff and trying to jumble them all into this poem stew. But the stew ends up having like potatoes and also like vegetable like broth and also like celery. And who likes celery, right? No offense, like if you like celery, right? And then like carrots and then like all of this stuff I'm trying to make into this big stew, and I don't know if it's working, but like please tell me if it is. This is called It's 6 a.m. and the sun is out, and it's literally just like me being mad because it was hot, and then also me like thinking about the idea of home, which I think very much like fits into the theme for today. So this is called It's 6 a.m. and the sun is out. I make peace with this being a beginning, speaking when commentary makes me unbelieve in my body, saying no when asked if I found a church home in my respective shelter city, saying because they're not good people when asked why I don't attend family functions, spreading the good word of moving out of a town you could never call home. If home is really where the heart should be, my heart is somewhere in Fort Worth, Texas, between sundry items at Ramey Market or sinking in Kool-Aid at Medea's. I don't remember a time when I wasn't lying about how much something harmed me. I run with the opposite of progress every time my father speaks. Congress is no match to the grave I choose to lay my mind in every time I visit home. I'm making a peace with speaking, being a nod to a hope that I'm not broken. All of the eyes in this poem are unfortunately the speaker, and I'm tired of making peace with many progress being a precursor for death and ignoring the pleading for AC permeating through my clothes. Every time a Texas summer gets hotter, I make peace with all the living things around me, shaking my hand as if we'll make it through this unscarred and together, and the sun is just a metaphor for my falling. Cool. So that's where that one stops. LOL. Of like maybe I don't know. Poetry journals really like obscure shit, so they like enjoyed that one. So I hope it's successful. Who knows? So this last one is me talking about the really beautiful home I've been able to find in my partner. My partner's really cool. And I feel like I'm like experiencing love for the first time in a really like dopey and silly way. So I wrote this poem about my partner thinking it was like not gonna go anywhere. It was just like all that sappy sappho shit. But then, you know, I've like read it and people have liked it. So hopefully it's a good thing. But this is my last piece, y'all. This has been so nice. If you'd like to keep up with me and all of my unearthly thoughts, you can follow me at Earth to KB on literally any platform. But I'm gonna leave y'all with a little token. This is for Gabby. The virus came and everything was already lonely. I became accustomed to yearning and receiving isolation in return. I remember mistaking a shoulder touch for I love you and tongues triggered forever. Yet another noctilucent love would fade as the prayer plant opens in the morning. It's hard living touch to touch. I fuck in fragments of consciousness only to be reminded of shame every time a shirt or chest or body is too close. But then there was you. Fighting local grocers and restroom signs for me, filling places in my body that I didn't know knew empty, showing me that love is nothing to be afraid of, that I'm nothing to be afraid of. For the first couple weeks, I was afraid of hurting you. Now I'm afraid of never being able to hurt for you again. You made me believe in touching someone without using hands. Peeling back your intricacies has been my most consensual labor. I am made wealthy with fruits and FaceTimes, all that's needed in our custom love pyramid. Soon my chest will finish growing skin that only you and surgeons have touched. And even when the world ends in greed and misfortune, at least we will have treasured this divine exclusivity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, KB. That was so amazing. Your poems have such a thoughtful sense of place, and I really appreciate you sharing them with us, so thoughtfully contributing to this theme of home. I really appreciate that you did that. So I know you shared your links again. If you would like to share it one more time, if there's anything else you'd like to plug, or if there's any, yeah, just your links again.
My links are at Earth to KB. So EARTHTOKB, because I think I'm like a bleep blorp, right? So if anyone wants to be within my orbit, earth2kb.com, earth2kb at on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that.
Wonderful. Thank you again, KB. That was so great. I have to snap for it. It was good. All right, I'm gonna hand things over to Lee now for our next announcement.
That was truly powerful. Thank you, KB, for your readings. For all you out there, if you like the performances tonight, please be sure to tip the artists on genderunbound.org/live. Click on the artist you want to tip from our performer list and look for tipping information at the bottom of their bio. Remember, all tips go directly to those artists. Up next is an interview with one of the incredible artists whose work is in our exhibition.
Hello, I'm Drew Riley, Executive Director of Gender Unbound. My pronouns are she, her, and it is my privilege to be interviewing an artist in our 3D gallery whose name is Khalil. Khalil is a Black transgender illustrator who seeks to bring the Black queer form to the front of artistic default and consciousness. Their work also focuses on the intimacy between folks of gender identities that are specific to the Black queer community. Boys, studs, AGs, butch queens, and more. Khalil's pronouns are they and she. Khalil, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the stream.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be a part of this.
We're honored to have you. And actually, I'd like to start the interview by talking about your work outside of the piece that we're about to dive into, because looking at your Instagram, I noticed that you actually do a lot of different types of work, from paintings to ink drawings, watercolor, to digital work and zines, and even like some apparel design. So I'd love for you to actually just tell in your own words, like a little bit about yourself as an artist and like what you like to create in, and maybe even like what your favorite medium is.
Oh, well, so I consider myself kind of a multimedia artist. I seek to translate my style onto as many mediums as possible. I plan on even learning how to do things like embroidery and stuff like that, just so I could like, play in mediums. I think my favorite medium though is always just like a fine liner pen and some paper. Like I love just ink drawing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love, like, it really shows through that you are like definitely the definition of a multimedia artist. You have so much. And actually, so then knowing that, I'd like to actually start talking about your piece. And so we're right now currently in our virtual gallery, and we're going to get a little bit closer to your piece and look at what we're talking about. I wanted to know what made you choose this medium. I believe it's gouache.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what was the choice for this piece?
Yeah, so what I love about working with gouache is that it's kind of like what I would consider like the baby of acrylic and watercolor, because as somebody who has used both acrylic and watercolor, I can kind of put in the theories that I have with movement of the movement that gouache has that's similar to watercolor, but the opaque and layers that I'm looking for in acrylic.
That's actually really similar to my feelings about gouache. I happen to love gouache myself, and I don't feel like enough art is made in gouache.
Hmm.
So the title of the piece is Boy Flora. And if for some reason anyone can't see clearly what we're looking at, it is a surrealist self-portrait with sunflowers and a lot of like beautiful colors and decorations in the background. And so I wanted to first actually start with the title because it's also painted into the piece. And I wanted to know what the words Boy Flora mean to you.
Yeah, so first of all, like the piece is kind of like taking myself, like the images of myself into the abstract. This was before I cut my hair actually. And so like Boy Flora is kind of like thinking about like my relationship to nature and plant life. Also, as somebody who identifies as a boy, which is specifically a Black queer gender moniker or even name for gender expression.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And actually, I think it's extra special that it was a piece before you cut your hair. You got one of the rare COVID haircuts. You're among a rarity right now. I'm envious. And so actually, the sunflowers are a very prominent piece, very prominent feature of the piece. And actually, I'm going to have us move in even a little bit closer just so we can see a lot of detail in the piece. Um, in your artist statement, you put a lot of meaning to the sunflowers specifically. Do you want to talk a little bit about what sunflowers mean to you?
Yeah, so for me, sunflowers have like a large place in like for me it's kind of a metaphor for like community, especially like the Black trans community. This was like not too long after folks started going out in the streets, and one of the pharmacies that was local kind of was just just ended up getting um, messed up, kind of, and all the stuff happening, and all the Black trans folks kind of like came together. We were like, okay, so like we want to make sure Black trans people have their meds, have their needs met, have like things that they need, because the pharmacy that's closest is just not here. And so I like came across this quote um before that, and it kind of made me think about, like, it was pretty much saying like when the sun isn't visible in the sky, sunflowers turn to each other to kind of like look for that light. And so one of the version I saw was kind of like a joke, and it was like, "Oh, I love you, bro." Da, da, da. But pretty much for me, so the meaning is that like when trans people, specifically Black trans people, don't have the support that they need, we always turn to each other, and we got us, and we always got us.
Hmm. Yeah, and actually, because I think that it is such a poignant statement, I'm actually gonna, because you mentioned this in your artist statement, and I wanted to go ahead and repeat exactly what you said.
Mhm.
You said, like sunflowers, when there is no sun, Black trans people turn to each other. In addition to being like a very beautiful and meaningful statement, it also very much goes along with tonight's theme of creating home,
Mhm.
of that turning towards each other. And like, you're talking about it in this time of, uprising and speaking up and like
Mhm.
that type of community. But I know that, like, that the community has so many different facets, and I'd love for
Mhm.
you to share maybe more of your own stories about creating home in Black trans communities and turning towards each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, the first non-binary person that I had ever met was a Black trans non-binary person, and they helped me like learn more about myself that I didn't even knew. And we've been friends for like 8 or 9 years now, and I'm so grateful to Zir. And so yeah, I think a lot of times about how like community has kind of a macro and a micro like parts to it. And so a lot of times I've been focusing more just on the interpersonal. So for me, just having like queer people to support, you know, going to like people who are black and brown and just like not having to worry about like explaining yourself is just such a large sense of safety just in that facet. And I think like the way that community has shown up for me before has just been amazing. Like most like my community is always like showing up for my art, and you know everything. I think for me, community is kind of everything because, like, coming from the Midwest, things were just being visibly queer in the ways that I was visibly queer was very difficult to do. And so I had to move away to find my own community and find like chosen, you know, fam and stuff like that. And so, you know, yeah, that's kind of like
Yeah.
how.
Yeah. And what a gift to have the first like non-binary person you meet to be a Black trans person. I feel like
Hmm.
that is incredible. And I think that I mean, it is the hard part about finding trans community is that, you know, there is sub community, and to like
Hmm.
really have that, you know, freedom of home that you're talking about. It does, you have to like finding your people can be harder than it looks
Hmm.
on the outside. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Um, and actually, I guess if you had the power to create your perfect home, what would that look like? Yeah.
um Lots of plants, lots of plants. I love plants so much. I'm a plant parent. There's just like plants everywhere. I love them so much. And I would also want my space to just be a space for, you know, like black and brown queer trans folks to be able to express themselves creatively. Like I've always like loved like just like small scale spaces where like folks can just, you know, make music, jam, chill out, you know.
Yeah. Um, Also, so I love that it's coming back to plants, especially we're talking about this boy flora piece.
Hmm.
Um, is it so you know you had this story for why you want to incorporate sunflowers, but it almost seems like plants would have been a part of this piece anyway.
Hmm.
If it hadn't been sunflowers, what would have worked its way into your piece? Like, where is your, I guess if we're talking about creating your own perfect home, what are those plants?
I love drawing. I've been doing a lot of like plant studies lately, so I love drawing like ZZ plants, like the leaves on ZZ plants, ferns. I've drawn monstera leaves in art before, pothos. So like honestly, if I could fit like all the plants, all my favorite plants into a piece without, you know, making my hands run away from me, I would probably have those in there.
I would be into that piece. I think you should create it. I would be into that. And actually, I guess you know, you're talking about working these plants into these different pieces. Is it just the plants that you're feeling in that moment, or is there like a plant language that you like different plants have different meanings, like the sunflowers do in this piece?
Hmm. It depends on what the plants are because like sometimes if it's like a rose, I like have more knowledge of the meanings of roses and their colors. Whereas with like certain other plants, it's more so with the theme that I'm working with and the colors. Like if like it's funny, I like know a plant and know how to take care of it, but won't know the name of it. So I'll do things like that. But so I think that like yeah, I would definitely try to like incorporate it just with the theme more so versus like meaning,
Yeah, I
but it
actually kind
becomes
of
a meaning.
yeah. I mean, I like that because I think that in the trans community, we have to do a lot of self-definition and creating our own labels.
Hmm.
Especially, actually, you know, mentioned like roses are commonly known. That feels
Yeah.
that just felt like a metaphor for the trans narrative. Like, yeah, like there's this representation over here, and there's all kinds of definitions and terms, but then like we have to come over here and like get to know each other and study ourselves and like come up with our
Hmm.
own. So yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Is there like So I noticed that also, like you spoke about this being a surrealist self-portrait,
Mm-hmm.
and like the colors of the sunflowers themselves are like greens and purples and reds and pinks. Like what what was the decision behind, like, A, making it more surrealist rather than realistic, and then B, like those colors, was that something that was aesthetic, or is there meaning behind them?
So I think like I wanted to specifically kind of like subvert like the idea of what you would think of when you think of like a sunflower, like visually. So I decided to be like, okay, I'm just gonna use all like flipped up type of colors, but keeping the yellow there so that it's recognizable as like a unique sunflower. For me, I really enjoy obscuring the human form or incorporating plants with the human forms in ways that aren't natural to just someone standing in a space. And so like my first idea when drawing this, I was thinking of somebody standing in a sunflower field, but I was like, that's not really what like I want out of the piece, especially in reference to myself. So I went along with something that was a bit weirder. I love making
Yeah.
weird art.
Well, and so actually I was curious, because the sunflower is like right in front of your face. Are you, in essence, that sunflower? Is the sunflower your face, or is it actually like an obscuration or a hiding?
Yeah, so I feel like it's the face. It's like the face, but in its existence as the face, it's the obscuring. Like when I named that it's like a self-portrait, people look at me like you don't have a sunflower in your face, you know. So it's kind of like talking about like kind of like I felt like when I drew this, I was thinking kind of like how I sit in my own body, how I've built my own home for myself. But even in building my own home for myself, there are like closets that I've had to come out of closets for, which I like didn't expect when I already came out as non-binary. So I was like, there's
Mm.
just more closets, and I realized the idea is like a person like if they choose to come out, they're always like coming out,
Yeah.
and so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That resonates with me. Well, so we're getting kind of like close to the end of our time,
Hmm.
and so I wanted to know if there was anything that you really wanted to share with our audiences, that I didn't ask you about yet.
Um, Well, I'm just excited to be interviewed. I really enjoyed working on this piece. I saw like the deadline was extended, and I was like, "Oh, I got to get on this as soon as possible." So it's super great to be like a part of this, and to share space with so many wonderful trans, non-binary, and intersex artists.
Yeah, and like I'm so happy that you did, because your piece is lovely, and it lights up our virtual wall. And I felt my only sorrow is that we couldn't have it in person for people to physically get to witness, because it's equally, if not more so, beautiful in person. So thank you. I guess to finish it out, where can people follow you and find your work?
Yeah, so at the moment, the simplest way to find my work is on Instagram.com. So that's www.instagram.com/ Khalil Art with two T's. So KHALEELATARTT. um, and yeah, that's the best place. I post like all my art regularly there, and I have a myriad of queer trans stuff.
Excellent. And yeah, and just in case somebody didn't catch that spelling, you can rewind the video, because this is on the internet. But also there is a link on your artist page, to that Instagram. So yeah, everybody, please follow Khalil, and thank you so much for being here and for sharing your work with us, like in the gallery and then here again today.
Thank you
Uh,
so much.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I feel like I should clap for you, but then I'll be the only person clapping because this is a stream. So instead, I will awkwardly pass things over to Jay. Thank you again.
Oh, that was such a just resonant and bright interview. I feel lighter after listening to that. I feel surprised. Like hope is a rare emotion for me these days. So that was just I really, really needed that. Thank y'all so much. And thank you so much, Khalil, for coming on and sharing so much about your work and your process. It was so insightful, and yeah, I feel lighter. Y'all have got to go into the virtual gallery. It's not quite the same as looking at the squash, right? Nose to the paint, but it's like you can really get a little closer to the piece than you could in the stream, move around it, look at it in the room, look at it in conversation to the other pieces. I know Drew read a bit of the artist statement here, and Khalil's artist statement is really, really worth reading in full. So you can find all of that and look at the art in the gallery itself. And you can access that on our website, genderunbound.org. So, yeah, please go see and read more about all of Khalil's work alongside all of our other newly commissioned work from trans and intersex artists in that interactive 3D exhibition. Once you go to the website, there's on the top menu bar, there's a link for the virtual showcase, and you'll be able to find it from there. And Khalil's piece is still up for sale for anyone who really, really falls in love with this piece. All of the artwork that doesn't have a little red dot on it in the gallery is still for sale. The artists have worked so hard on these pieces, and all of the sales go directly to benefit Gender Unbound and help us continue making spaces like this possible. We've already paid the artists, I promise. And speaking of paying artists, if you go to genderunbound.org/live, you'll find also links to tip all the folks on our stream today directly, not through us at all, just their Venmos or Cash Apps or all that jazz. So yes, please check all of that out. Follow these folks. We're so grateful to share so much with them and for them to share so much with us. All right, so to close this off, I am gonna hand it over to Biss, who has the privilege of introducing our closing act.
Hi, y'all. It's Biss again, and I use all pronouns. As Jay said, I'm here to introduce our amazing musician for tonight, Sci-Fi. Yay! I'm doing a lot of applause because they deserve a lot of applause. Sci-Fi is a rapper, producer, and DJ from the east side of St. Paul, Minnesota. As a rapper, they aim to make the experience of the music as honest as possible, packing songs with not only emotional content, but sounds as well. As a DJ, they want to make sure that people feel bonded through the shared experience brought on by music. All right, y'all, let's hear it for Sci-Fi. Yay!
Howdy. I'm Sci-Fi. I use she and they pronouns, and well, Biss kind of went over the rest, so I suppose I'll just get into it. Real quick, to speak on the theme at least. A lot of the songs I chose were created in an attempt to give people a feeling of how I felt being in the city, being in my home, being in all the places that made me feel at home the most. So sometimes that was off being with my friends, just like being delinquents at like a park or something, or sometimes it was falling for pretty girls and like watching sunsets and stuff like that. And that's what a lot of my first project turned out to be about. Two Late Nights was a lot about trying to show people who I am and where I'm from, creating my home for other people. This song is called Nightcrawler. Which actually is a song about me and my friends being delinquents. Night crawling, creeping through the city streets. No, you probably heard of me, the science fiction Afro queen. I'm a night crawler, creeping through the city streets. No, you probably heard of me, the science fiction Afro queen. It's me like Swiss beats, which bitch like no key, which bitch I'm a shapeshift from a flower girl to a punk queen. Gotta change the pace up, gotta get the cake up, quick run to the mall, $100 makeup. Everybody in the street tonight, we going hard in this bitch like it's a fire. The QT, POCs bring the party, right? You QT, POCs bring the party, right? Night crawling, creeping through the city streets. No, you probably heard me, the science fiction Afro queen. I'm a night crawler, creeping through the city streets. No, you probably heard me, the science fiction Afro queen. I gotta do what I gotta do, stick to my grind and eat ramen noodles. Spend half the check on concert tickets, pop around the city, all the different venues. Go to Blue Chase, about to skip the menu, gonna get a quick slice. Gotta go see sights, roll down 35, got line with the lights. I'm in love with this life in these 2 late nights. Woo! I gotta shake nerves off. I haven't rapped since February. Through the city streets, no, you probably heard of me, the science fiction Afro queen. I'm a night crawler creeping through the city streets. No, you probably heard of me, the science fiction Afro queen. Night crawling, creeping through the city streets. No, you probably heard of me, the science fiction Afro queen. I'm a night crawler creeping through the city streets. No, you probably heard of me, the science fiction Afro queen. Thank you. Woo! I love that song. It was one of the first I ever produced, one of the first I ever wrote. And one of my favorites because I remember one of the first times I performed it. A friend of mine told me after the show, they were like, I feel like that's just going to be like your song now. It's just like people are going to hear that song and be like, that's you. This next one I did with a good friend of mine. We've been friends, oh my God, for what I think is probably a decade now. He's another rapper from here in Minnesota. He goes by the name of Love Ulysses. Be sure to check him out when you get the chance. This is a song we did together called Recognitions. One day, I'll play the first I made you, and walls are the names of the folks who made you. Shout out to the man with the gold star. Hope you chilling with a love in the red car. These third eye girls got me John Legend looking to the third eye world. Ask me to defend, I will, with a battle vest on, marching up that hill. Shout out to the fam at the mansion. I love you all, sorry that I couldn't make it. But see, I had to heal, I was with a bad guy, took me time to deal with it. Now I'm back again because I love my city, east side to the end. And it's mine to defend, all the folks who just want a little time to pretend. Because in the end, what do we want more? Return to innocence. It's okay to not record sometimes.
Okay, black water, I've been riding with undefined, but all the things you find me with. Paper shoes, the often talk from me, but my thoughts are fashion, flight shift, dilapidated, fashion recognition, heavy missing, you can find a fix between its liberty, it's all around the clouds, or I might be rich, look at all the things you find around me, a healthy family, trucks and counting, shit is probably more than that, man, that's three more than most people, I be doubting my importance of all, which is really pretentious, I feel like I'm forcing my heart, without even taking a second to understand there's no harm I've done. Yeah. I don't want to be this. I feel like a bruh be this. I'm not above deletion. I live in a bubble with only the things that I know. When a couple of remix moments created for keeping me sorry for subposition. My spine into deep bend. Yeah. I don't wanna be these. I feel like the drugs. Shit. Already kind of fucked up. I feel like the drugs.
It's okay to fuck up.
I feel like the drugs.
Thank you. Woo. Like I had kind of mentioned before, song is about falling for pretty people and watching sunsets. This is the first song I ever wrote, actually, and it went through a lot of different mediums before it wound up as a song. It was a thought. Obviously, it was turned out into a drawing that I figured out how to turn into sounds somehow. There's a lot of feelings involved. There's a lot of translating feelings involved. But this is that song. It's called Pocket Worlds. Rolling through the city, slick whipping in the Dora, parking in a double puck spot, smoking Flora. Think you're so cool, motherfucker, I adore you. Sorry, I keep staring, I just think you're really gorgeous. Got my head's in the clouds, you think about me the way I think about us. Pocket world, thinking about us, about you. Think about love, why I couldn't stay with you, why I'm like, think about you. They want that you're, they are about us. The street light on that night, it caught us, sealing in the fate to something that was beyond us. We saw the lights and cityscapes, the drunken parties up too late when we spilled our hearts. The same man got me, please. This dream I seek is love for you and me. Love for you and me. Love for you and me. Thank you. I love that song. This next one is another I did with Love Ulysses much more recently. And I felt still kind of touched in the idea of home. It's a lot about the places and experiences that remind me of home. And some parts are like about home directly. It's called Kicking It. Thoughts roll, collect the moss off the peat rock. Watch my niggas catching 50 off the street rock. Blind hustle, hamster wheeling, hear the pin drop. Love to my mama, she ain't never let the dream stop. Promise better every time we had to uproot. We climbed the tree and feasted well upon Badu's fruit. Romantic islands been on some truth. Backdrop, top rolling with the smoke in the air. Brooklyn for the care of the curls in my hair. With the watermelon sweet as the girls that I came with. Dancing Nada through the night with holy women. I'm bound to figure out why it's so hard to keep my head in a place not quite in the stars. Get distracted by the sections of the moments and these feelings that shape the world around me. Fuck your feelings with the ceiling cracks. Hey yo, Love Ulysses, my nigga, could you please run it back?
I got you, I got you, I got you, I got you, I got you,
and we rock to the left, to the left, to the left, and we rock to the right, to the right, right. We go way back, and we party all night.
I'm repping Minnesota, the home of the least cutthroat. Common cosmic roots got us holding the ground below. Believe it with its roots to provide for the next stilo. I go back to that hood, but I want you around. Just to see the way the times took over the town. Let's see if the block got newer degenerates now. A bunch of skateboarding laskeys with the mind to find happiness from sitting in the middle of divine and blind ignorance, shoving off some troubles in pursuit of the epiphanous, and wound up on the stage in attempt of his blissful synthesis. The more the merrier when food's around. Remember when we used to kick it on my mama's couch? Too excited to sit still, we gotta cover ground. And then we head off to the homies to live after hours. We on Illmatic, it's about the time we take its hours.
Hey, yo. And when towers has been tooken, catching you with Rondo, shoving books and looking out for the future. No lies got me shooketh, as well as staying there for 20 years like my good friends. Silver hair Sandy and Liver Spot Joe. We was young niggas on the couch watching both. Music vids, comedy sketches, globs of gold. Pouring out the pixels till it was time to go. Crazy, staying perpetually inspired. Before I was this, your boy was inside. Nothing but annoying, some doubt and misfire. Hopes upon dreams that were grounded but misdiet. Rungs to the ladder, couldn't tell what was needed. God always got me fine answering my jeans as fortune cookie papers and money that was seams and seemingly. That's why I rap with hands on my penis. Confidence, a word I'm starting to know. I always knew a little but not running the nose. A lost I never know. I'm all fine with the loan. Rock a stand on monolith, gotta be known. But now without my doggies and bros, Sam like Simon, Jared, Sandy, and Joe. Jeremiah, Sean, and Anthony, handing me roaches. Only as a joke, though, take the Katie we go. Let's go.
Thank you. Like I said before, take the chance to check out Love Ulysses. He just put out something new for, I believe, Bandcamp's latest like no fee Friday thing. So he would receive all the money for the purchases that you make of the music, which also applies to me because my album 2 Late Nights is on Bandcamp. This next song kind of came out of thinking about my future. And thinking about kind of what I wanted to leave behind, I guess. And it is called Weirdo to Hero. I wanna be the reason that your speaker's knocking. You're really fucking scared about this album dropping. We can pray for the best and then prepare for the worst. I'm not wishing for miracles, I just want it to work. Not sick of being ill, I'm sick of being sick. Finally got a therapist, ain't that a powder bitch? Trying to put the work in just to make sure I amount to shit. And trying to be honest so that I don't have a high quip. Not a clip, take a breath, have another shot. It's one chance, get the shitting or get off the pot. I've been dreaming, I've been seeking, I can talk a lot. I stay inside me, y'all my chillin', smoking, but about to rot. Or maybe it was many faces, got the ideas flowing, ain't no special occasion. See, I won the right to think, and it's more than I can say for you. Busting out for shows every other night like the paper doing. Wide around the cities, it's got me feeling invincible. I got an old soul, and I don't mind it if I'm new to you. I just want to be immortalized upon the avenue. Guess who thought I'd be rapping? Just an emo kid with emotions that needed some channeling. Tried hard to write raps, now the shit got me traveling. But is it the right path? It's the shit that I'm questioning. We all say it's not a game, but we act like we trying to win. I went weirdo to hero, one in the same. I got nothing to say to people that shake me for doing my thing. I'm just doing my thing. I went weirdo to hero, one in the same. I got nothing to say to the people that shake me for doing my thing. I'm just doing my thing. Thank you. Woo! How am I doing on time? Cool. Just want to make sure. I have one more song. My brain's a little fuzzy right now, so I was trying to remember how I was connecting it to home, but you know what? We're just going to go for it. It's called Fear and Faith. this shit. The stage and the lights and the blitz. It's kind of hard to take it all in. Fried my brain out. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try again because it's a stream and I have a little bit of time. I'm very nervous. This doesn't usually happen. Again, fear and faith. I think I was born for this shit. Stage and the lights and the blitz. It's kind of hard to take it all. I used to think about running away. Guess I'll stick around for now. New views of the old places. Got the same old friends with their new faces. Don't care about a thing but my soul changing. For the sake of my city and my own greatness. Best cardio, cause I'm steady chasing the dream. Never really thought that I would make it out of the east. But now I see a future, great things for me. Great guy with sincerity and words they speak. A DJ who will never try to slow my roll. The best friends who will teach me to be vulnerable. And this life really is full of amazing shit. Can't believe I ever planned on messing. Can't believe I ever planned on missing. Thank you.
Woohoo!
Are you, is that, I'm live, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sci-Fi. I'm sorry you were nervous. I wouldn't have guessed. You did such an amazing job. Also, I think we're all feeling a little fuzzy the last 6 months. So, so thank you for sharing all of this with us and telling us all these stories about the origins of your songs. Falling in love with beautiful people. Like, what a joy. So like Jay said about Drew's interview with Khalil, your performance gave me a lot of hope today, and it is really rare in this time. So thank you for such a truly precious gift. It was so hopeful. It was wonderful. Can you tell us where else we can find any more of your work online, like Bandcamp?
Yeah, so it is available for purchase on Bandcamp. You can find me as Sci-Fi, or that might be a little hard. You can look up the album itself. It's called Two Late Nights, two spelled like T-O-O. The album's also on YouTube. You're available to view the videos made by Gender Unbound's very own Gwen Holford. Thank you, Gwen. You can also find the album on Spotify. You can also find me on Spotify. I have a personal playlist of mine on there you can check out to see kind of like what I'm listening to right now. And social media is all at World of Sci-Fi.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. That was wonderful. And with that, I'd like to hand things over to Drew.
Thank you. Thank you, Biss, and thank you, Sci-Fi, and thank you to everyone who is watching our final live stream of the Gender Unbound 2020 virtual showcase. I especially want to thank our entire Gender Unbound organizing team who have worked so hard in putting this entire showcase together. I even actually want to especially thank 3 of our organizers who don't actually get to be on the stream tonight to like share their names. And so I want to thank Evan Mahoney and CH Powers who have been moderating comments, social media sharing, and doing like live tweeting and all kinds of like crazy stuff to keep the community engaged. And also Gwen Holford, who's been running all of the tech that goes into these very complicated streams with multiple artists and audio inputs and things that I don't understand. So thank you to the entire team. I want to also say that normally at the Gender Unbound Art Fest, we have voter registration services. And although we can't offer those services in person this year, we want to remind viewers in Texas that you can still check your voter registration status and find out voting information at votetexas.gov. That's votetexas.gov. And be sure to register to vote by October 5th in order for the November election if you're in Texas. Early voting takes place October 13th. So through October 30th. Yeah. That is the end of the final live stream, but our interactive 3D exhibit is not over. It actually is up through Wednesday, which is September 30th. So please go and check that out before it goes down. It is quite a treat to get to actually like go through this 3D space and see all the art next to each other. I actually think that the art they impact and empower each other by like having this like visual narrative of piece by piece. So please check that out before it goes down. And follow us on social media and tip the artists and buy art that you enjoy. You can find all that information and more at genderunbound.org. And from the entire Gender Unbound organizing team tonight, we want to say good night. We love you, and we hope that we get to see y'all soon.